welcome to this week's Sam versus Lee. We're going to be looking back at our predictions for game week 19.
I can't think that far back, to be honest with you.
It's okay, it's all in the notebook.
It's in the notebook, good.
And then we'll be looking ahead to game week 21 and making some predictions for that.
So much football in FPL right now. It's difficult to keep up.
But it is brilliant.
Do you know what? Yes, it is.
Yes,
it is. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. I sort of wonder whether I might need an FA Cup weekend break just to sort of take stock of what my FPL team's doing.
You're getting one soon.
I'm getting one, yeah. I shall careful what I wish for.
Okay, so game week 19 was our ABC week.
Oh, yes. Okay, go on. Yeah.
So clubs beginning with A, B or C.
It was actually quite hard, wasn't it?
It was difficult. The teams didn't have very nice fixtures.
No.
And the ones that did have nice fixtures weren't in very good form, and it was hard. So would you like to know how you got on?
Yes, to be honest with you, given all the amount of FPL that's been going on, I've sort of forgotten who I picked. So go on, remind me.
Okay. So, strangely actually, your players would have done better if we'd have gone by game week 20, but hey, there we go.
you can't prefix it with that. That's just setting me up for a fall. Go on.
Oh, right.
I can already tell this is going to go well.
So you had Patrick Van Arnhout.
In game week 19?
In game week 19, yes.
Yeah.
Who got 2 points. So, lost his clean sheet, is what it is.
What are you going to do?
You had Mason Mount, who unfortunately just got 1.
Right, okay, good. I'm so good at this.
Yeah.
Go on.
And then you had Morpie, who got rested for the Spurs game and came on.
No! He did
a 1 point cameo.
Oh my days. He actually did alright in game week 20.
Yeah, as did Mason Mount. So
both got assists, didn't they, in 20?
So had it been game week 20, you'd have been okay.
Great. So my grand total of
you
what?
got 4.
Excellent. Good. Alright. This is going so well for me. I'm so glad I signed up to do these videos with Fancy Football Scout.
Oh.
Go on.
Right, on the flip
if you haven't beaten 4, then we might as well give up.
Well, my defender was equally as poor as yours. I had Tarkowski, who got me 2 as well.
Right,
so
okay.
They wiped their face.
But you're already halfway there. Go on.
Halfway there. I had Jack Grealish, who scored.
He got welded in 19?
Yeah, got 6 points.
Killer, okay.
And I had Aubameyang, who also scored and got 7. So 15.
Plays 4.
So that's...
what is that now? 4-1?
That's 4-1. I mean, you do need to up your game a bit.
It's getting a bit embarrassing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm beating you in actual FPL. I'm beating you in Sam versus Lee.
When we had the conversation with the powers that be at Fancy Football Scout, I'm pretty sure they said, yeah, if you can keep it competitive, keep it interesting, that'd be good. 4-1. Pretty much the way that this FPL season's going, to be honest with you.
Okay, so let's move on.
Let's move on. I've already forgotten about it.
Let's park game week 19.
It's gone, yeah.
But remember that I'm winning. And and think about game week 21.
Good, okay, yes.
So this theme for this week is teams that have had a new manager during the season. So we have now had 5 managerial sackings so far this season. And so we are looking at those 5 clubs.
So you couldn't have Frank Lampard then, because he was installed in the summer.
Because he was in the summer.
Since the start of the season. Okay.
Yeah, so we're looking at the clubs that have had new managers so far. So Mourinho to Spurs.
Yes.
Arteta at Arsenal.
Yeah.
David Moyes tonight or Sunday night.
Just seen his announcement picture on Twitter, by the way. He looks delighted to be there, doesn't he? Honestly.
David Moyes to West Ham.
Yeah.
Ancelotti.
Yeah.
At Everton. And then Watford as well.
Pearson.
So
okay. Yeah. Okay.
We have 5 teams.
Choose from those. Okay.
And actually, the teams have reasonable fixtures. So Spurs away at Southampton this week. Arsenal have a tough one at home to Manchester United. West Ham playing Bournemouth at home. Everton away at Manchester City is hard, and then Watford at home to Wolves. So some reasonable fixtures in there, and therefore should provide decent points returns. But we said this once before when we were picking from the top 6, and it didn't go that well. So let's see.
I can feel the 4-2 happening already. Come on.
Okay, so go on. I'll let you start. Which defender would you like this week?
So I've sort of gone a bit rogue. So I've gone a little bit outside the rules. So you have to tell me whether this is allowed or not. But I haven't gone for a defender. I've gone for a goalkeeper. Is this allowed? You've got to allow it. I'm 4-1 down. You have no choice but to allow it. I've gone for Fabianski.
I'll tell you what. Because you're losing.
I need it.
I'll let you have it.
I've gone for Fabianski. So he's back. Fabianski's back, right? And West Ham... difficult to say they look much better without him, but you've got to expect that with Moyes coming back in, they can't get any worse. Something's got to change. You'd like to think that it's going to make them defensively a little bit better. And actually, with Fabianski coming back, that is a big boost for them just in general, because the two backup keepers, David Martin, bless his heart, came in and did a reasonable job, didn't he, on his Premier League debut? I remember them, I think, winning against Chelsea and him getting a clean sheet. But Roberto is clearly not going to inspire any confidence in that back line at West Ham. So Fabianski coming back is a big positive for them. But I'm mainly picking it because of how inept Bournemouth are right now. So Bournemouth have got 2 goals in their last 6 games. Only 2 goals.
Wow.
Both scored, weirdly, by Dan Gosling, right? So when you think about...
Again, that's weird.
Yeah, so you think about Bournemouth and you think about all the attacking talent they've got with Callum Wilson, all right, only coming back from injury just now. Josh King also a bit in and out of the team through injury. Harry Wilson, again, similar. Ryan Fraser. So they've got all these attacking players, yet 2 goals in the last 6, both scored by Dan Gosling. Yeah. Both scored in games where they got points from Premier League points, by the way, from those games against both Chelsea and Arsenal. But outside of those 2 Dan Gosling goals, they've looked pretty inept going forward. 2 goals in 6 games says everything you need to know about Bournemouth right now. So with a lot of those players either coming back from injury or not ready to come back from injury, I can't see there being that much of a threat on the West Ham goal. With Fabianski back, new manager bounce potentially at West Ham, having got rid of Pellegrini, maybe there's just something in that there for West Ham. So I'm going to go, if you will allow, the West Ham goalkeeper Fabianski.
Well, I'll tell you what.
So you're going for which defender?
So I was going to go Kiki Firmino at Watford.
Okay.
But if you're going for a keeper, then I'll have a keeper too, and I'll go Ben Foster.
Okay, right.
We'll even it up that way.
Okay.
So I'll take Ben Foster, who kind of come a bit out of nowhere, this Ben Foster thing, because in previous seasons gone by, we all pretty much had a Watford defender of some kind. You know, you just did, because actually they kept clean sheets and they
good for me last season, Ben Foster. Actually,
yeah. I mean, you owed Ben Foster a pint at the end of last season for the amount of clean sheets he kept you. Now, when I was doing my kind of Watford look at and who I was going to go for, I was astounded to see Ben Foster sitting at the top of the goalkeeper charts, but also not just the top of the goalkeeper charts for total points, but also for bonus points as well. So he is scoring well, and I think Watford, we've seen in the games that they've played over the last couple of weeks against Liverpool, where they were very unlucky not to get anything, and then this week where absolutely wiped the floor. 3-0 is really showing a change in Watford. I think that versus Wolves, Wolves are really good attacking wise, so there is no doubt about that. They've got some really quality players who sat out a lot of the Liverpool game this weekend. Jimenez and Traore had a long period of rest, coming on as subs later on in the game.
So they're bound to score against Watford. What are you doing?
But I just feel
you have
like...
Ben Foster, that's no problem at all. You have him.
Confidence. I can't wait to see you next week when you've lost the game. So yeah, I'm going to go with Ben Foster. So
I think part of the reason he's at the top of the charts is because when Quique Sanchez-Flores returned, they had a few games where they did nothing but defend, if you remember. He was just like, right, clean sheet. And they got 2 or 3 clean sheets, and he got some bonus points on the back of that as well. But I do like him. He's a nice pick, and I think if he gets a clean sheet, he'll get bonus points as well a lot of the time, because he tends to pull off the odd good save, and he of course did that again in Gameweek 20 that we've just seen. But against that Wolves side with a Jimenez and Traore that have just been rested for the most of the Liverpool game in 20, I think you'd do well to get a clean sheet out of him. I'll be honest.
Well, let's see. Okay.
Go on, all right. Defender. We're both going for goalkeepers then, Fabianski and Foster. Who's your midfielder?
Well, I'm going to stay loyal to Dele Alli. Okay. I've had Dele Alli once before in this, and he did me all right that week. Yeah. Also own him in my fantasy team, and he's been doing me well there as well. I think he was very unlucky in Gameweek 20. As a Dele Alli owner, I was most peeved with him that he didn't get some attacking returns. Obviously, VAR was involved, and he was playing... I think because there were a lot of issues at Spurs in terms of suspensions in Gameweek 20 with Sissoko and Winks and Son all out, we saw him playing pretty much level actually with Kane and in front of Kane on a number of occasions during the course of that game. Now, if he's going to play that far up the field, that only bodes well. We saw a good game from Eriksen, which again, the balls into Dele were lovely. So let's see who plays with him. in Gameweek 21, but I fully expect to see Dele against a Southampton side that just can't keep clean sheets and don't defend. I can see him getting some decent points returns in that game.
He was a bit unlucky, wasn't he? If you think about the through ball to Kane, where Kane got fouled for the penalty in Gameweek 20, that's a lovely through ball. And if it's not a penalty, Kane probably slots that away and Dele gets an assist. As it was, Kane picks himself up and gets the goal, and ALLI gets nothing. I can remember at least one other occasion where I think Kane might have squared it to him, or some Spurs player might have squared it to him for a tap-in. So I agree with you, a bit unlucky, and of course scored a beautiful goal in Game Week 19. Has looked a completely different player, as is well documented on Fantasy Football Scout and on our channel and everywhere else. Under Mourinho is a different player, has looked like he's got a new lease of life. So difficult to argue against.
And only had 2 blanks since Mourinho's taken charge. And actually, in both of those games, the one against Norwich and the one against Chelsea, he was incredibly unlucky not to get attacking returns. So I think there's good potential there. Who would you like to put up against him?
So I've gone very, very different. 0.4% team selected by.
Wow.
But has shown a lot of... he's passing the eye test for me over the last few game weeks, particularly in Game Week 20, the 3-0 win that Watford had against Aston Villa. He got 7 points, and then they beat Manchester United 2-0 in Game Week 18, where he got 15 points, a goal and assist, and 3 bonus points.
Wow.
And that is Ismaila Sarr.
We've got
Ismaila
2
Sarr.
Watford players in our picks.
Yeah, absolutely. But Watford have shown, they have turned a bit of a corner under Pearson, no doubt about it. And this kid has got a bit more... I don't know, there's a bit more va-va-voom and a bit more confidence about him. If you look at his heat maps in the Fantasy Football Scout members area, he is getting in all the right places, and he took that goal really nicely against Aston Villa at the weekend. Now, we've seen what he can do. We saw him in the summer for Senegal. Really nice little player. Went for big money to Watford, so I wonder whether there was a bit of a... not only has he got to, come to a country that he doesn't know what the league is like here, or he's got to settle in his home and all the rest of it here.
Up to pace.
He's still a pretty young player, so he's got to have all that getting used to, just living in the UK and all that sort of stuff, right? And then he's got to get up to the speed and the pace of the Premier League. He's got this big price tag and expectation hanging over him. I wonder whether that maybe just stunted his growth a little bit in terms of growing into the Premier League to start with, and whether he's just starting to find his feet. The other big thing for Watford is that actually Troy Deeney is back. So Troy Deeney coming back is big for the rest of that Watford side, not just because they've got their main man back up front, but he provides them with so much more than just a presence up the top. His leadership, he pulls the game up by the scruff of the neck. Some of the comments he made after the Villa game about, I think he was kept on side by Matt Targett, who was down at the time with a hamstring injury, and Deeney was asked about that in his post-match, and he was just like, well, I'm not here to make friends, we're in a relegation scrap. If there's a guy down, he's going to keep me on side, I'm going to score the goal. And I'm just like, that is so classically Deeney. And I think that will just give the whole team a bit of a determined lift.
Yeah.
And I expect that to have a positive impact on the likes of Delafeu and the likes of Ismaila Sarr. Already has shown, even before Deeney come back, that he can do the business with that 13-pointer against Manchester United. So he's a bit out there. He's not as highly owned as Dele Alli. I like to go a bit differential in these Sam versus leagues. I'm doing really well with that so far, aren't I? So 0.4%, 6.2 million in FPL, which for me possibly is a bit of a stumbling block to get him into your FPL teams. That might seem a bit pricey compared to the likes of maybe Adama Traore and some of the others at that price point.
But owning a Watford player, given the bounce that we've seen from them, could, if you get the right one...
Yeah, I mean, 0.4% owned. That is differential territory. And I feel like, with Deeney back and the good vibe that's going on with Pearson coming back, it could be another double-figure haul just on the horizon. So Ismaila Sarr is the guy I'm going for, yeah.
Okay.
Who have you got?
Right, so in terms of the striker position then...
yes, strikers.
I actually very nearly went with Deeney, but then having decided to have a Watford defender, I obviously can't, because that is one of the rules that we aren't allowed to have more than one player from each Premier League side.
Okay.
So I've gone up to Everton, another side that have really prospered under
Turn
their
the corner,
new manager.
Yeah, absolutely, looking good.
And I'm going to go with Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
Now, for me, even 2 weeks ago, at no point did I ever think I'd sit on one of these videos and pick Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah.
I just didn't see that coming. And I think what's been really interesting is since Ancelotti has taken over there, we've seen him get 3 goals in 2 games. He got 7 points and then 12 points in the last 2 game weeks, which is fantastic. He's got more goals so far, 8 than in any other campaign that he's done.
Cheap as well, right?
Cheap, yes, absolutely cheap, low ownership, everything to like in terms of a differential striker pick. And at a time where, we are starting to question some of our other striker picks. I know Tammy Abraham scored at the weekend, but it came late and
first goal in a while.
First in a while.
Yeah.
So there's that kind of questions about him kind of raising their head. And so at that point where maybe that third striker spot is becoming open for
grabs, right?
a choice again. I think he's putting himself out there. Ancelotti certainly thinks he's decent. He came out and said, I think he's going to be the top in England and in Europe.
Yeah.
So
do you know what? I love that from Ancelotti. That's brilliant man management because he's come in. And by the way, don't underestimate the effect that Duncan Ferguson has had on Dominic Calvert-Lewin. By all accounts, not that I know much about what behind the scenes at Everton, but by all accounts, they get on well outside of football and off the pitch. Big Dunk put him in there in his first game, and he said, "Right, you go and do the business for me. I rate you. I'll back you." And Ancelotti's come along. He's obviously taken Duncan Ferguson's advice. Duncan Ferguson's obviously said to him, "This kid's good. You need to back him." And when you have a manager like Carlo Ancelotti with the gravitas of Carlo Ancelotti, he's done everything in football. He's won European trophies, everything. Goodness knows how he's at Everton, by the way, but he's at Everton. And you have a young player, don't forget Calvert-Lewin, it feels like he's been around for a while, but he's still a young player. And you have someone like Ancelotti come along on the back of two really good performances and say, really like you, by the way, you could be one of the best in England and Europe. Whether he is or whether he isn't, I mean, can Dominic Calvert-Lewin be one of the best in Europe? No, probably not. But the fact that Ancelotti's come and said that just puts him under a little bit of good pressure and gives him a little bit of a boost.
The other thing I really like about Everton in terms of FPL and owning him as an FPL asset is that there isn't really anyone that's going to take his place.
Yeah.
I know we can play Richarlison up there, but they seem to be playing up there together right now, and that's kind of nice. It's comforting.
Feeding
if
off
you're
each
going
other.
if you're going to bring him in, it's comforting. Go on. Tell me who you're going to have.
Well, look, I've picked this guy mainly because...
Why are you smiling?
If he wins it for me, it would be hilarious.
No,
You've gone Dele Alli in mid.
I know what you've done.
I've gone Harry Kane.
Oh, for God's
up
sake.
top because... and by the way, I haven't owned him in FPL at all this season. And if he wins it for me, it would just be funny. So I've got Harry Kane. Goals in both of his last two games, by the way. So in a rich vein of form, despite the fact the one against Brighton come as a Webster mistake. And of course, the one in the last game, it was a penalty. But nevertheless... still going for Harry Kane. It's mainly because of the way that Spurs... It's mainly to wind you up, of course, but it's mainly because of the way that Spurs are attacking right now. When we first started, I started looking at my options for this video. I didn't fancy going anywhere in the Spurs defence, right? I think you've got still too many problems there at fullback in particular, and I still think... I do like your centre-halves, of course, and they do play a nice long ball, but Aurier and I still think Sessegnon's got a long way to go. Oh, he's got potential. So I kind of look further and forward in the field. And of course, I'd pick ALLI as a sort of... If I was going to pick anyone, I think I would go him, given the form he's shown since Mourinho's there, etc., etc. I don't think I'd go Morris. Feels a bit inconsistent. Game time maybe up for debate.
Yeah, Lamella's back now.
Ericsson has looked good in the last couple of games. He's got game time, but again, is his head turned, etc. Son is, of course, suspended. So, well, who's left? Well, it's got to be Big Harry, isn't it? So, I'm going for Harry Kane. At the end of the day, it's against Southampton. You mentioned it in your ALLI speech there. They can't keep clean sheets, can they? So, it's mainly to wind you up, but also because it's Harry Kane, and you've got to go. You've got to go for the main man at Spurs on penalties, etc. I don't need to sell him. I don't need to sell him to you guys. Harry Kane is my fault.
What upsets me most is why I didn't think to go Harry Kane.
Well, it's either him or ALLI. We're going to pick one each, weren't we? Surely. So there it is. There it is, guys. I've gone Harry Kane.
I hate that you've got Kane. I hate it.
So I've gone Fabianski in defence, and I've gone Ismaila Sarr in midfield from Watford, and I've gone Harry Kane from Spurs up front as my three. Remind us of your three.
So I've got Foster, I've got the main man Dele Alli, and I've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Three nice picks. I think you got three nice ones there. I'm not sure about Foster.
Well, I'm not sure about Fabianski.
I like your Dominic Calvert-Lewin pick. So there we go, guys. Get in the comments below. Let us know who you think is going to win. Is it #Team Sam, #Team Lee? Let us know. And let us know who your three picks from the teams that have had new managers since the season started. Let us know who your three picks would be and why in the comments. And we'll see you next time for another Sam versus Lee. Cheers.
Bye.